All right, guys. So it's 11 o'clock, 11:02. Damn, 2 minutes late. Okay. So I wanted to kick this off. Dave and I wanted to have this call, and we'll probably have a couple of these over the next few weeks. But right now we're onboarding, just to give you guys some idea of scale. We got 10 people on this Zoom call, which is awesome. But just to give you guys an idea of scale, I think we've got now under the Velocity umbrella, 160, 170 agents now. And a lot of these are new agents that are coming on, and they're trying to get their license, they're trying to get contracted, they're trying to get plugged in on the Slack thread. They're trying to figure out what policies to write in people's houses. And so during literally last week, I think Dave personally, he probably fielded over like 70 or 80 calls in the middle of writing, $14,000 or $15,000 worth of premium in the field. And so we're trying to figure out a way that we can divide and conquer and help you guys get up and running as quickly as possible. And so what we've decided is that, I'm going to take care of everything. Any questions that you guys have in terms of contracting, licensing, hierarchy, screw ups, people getting plugged into the website, email addresses, anything that's process oriented, okay, that's pre-selling, bring that to me, okay? So hit me up directly on Slack, call my cell phone, text me, email me, just abuse me. That's what I'm here for, okay? So, and it won't take you but like a week or two of abusing me like that before you've got all the answers that I do. And that's the way that this is going to grow. Okay. We're all going to, we all want to have a 10, 20, $30 million agency when we'll get there. The only way that's going to happen is if we take the knowledge that's here and we push it down. Right. And so I'm going to take care of all of those calls. Okay. The pre-selling calls. Okay. And then Dave is going to take care of the in the field stuff, right? So, what lead vendors to go with, how to call and set appointments if you're having problems with that, what the right products are to offer in the home. Hey, I'm sitting across the table from Miss Margaret and I don't know what to do here. Call. That's a Dave thing. Okay, so this call is going to be entirely about the Dave stuff. Okay. So in order to kind of take some pressure off of Dave, right, we're going to just have a call based on sales. Okay. So if you're on this call, presumably it's because you want some help, either figuring out what leads to buy, how to be efficient with your time, how to offer the right products in the house. And so I offer you the mind of Dave. Yeah, who's got any questions that are around that topic? I want you to think about those. And then Dave, do you have anything to say while people are thinking about their questions?
Yeah. So I just want to say, obviously Eric and I are both here for these things. I guess the point when, for example, Chad, he has an assistant. Guys, you're going to get big enough when you're writing, especially if you're writing 30, 40K a month, you're going to need an assistant anyway. I'd say 20 or above really. But until you're at that point, I have 2/3, but I'm actually hiring another full-time person up with recruiting. So, we have a lot of people in place, but eventually you're going to do that. Like Eric will probably need an assistant at some point. Chad already has one. Some of the other guys. So that, I guess what I'm trying to say is while Eric can voice or, help you with that, he's going to direct you probably to Danielle, Aaron, and those guys to help you. The same thing for me is if I know you're in the field and you need me, I'm going to certainly do my very best to answer your call and help everyone. And I'll answer all the time pretty much. So as we talked about before, Eric, whether like Chad and David's got experience, I just see him on here, yourself and other guys are going to pick up on this stuff quick. Brandon's very knowledgeable, but there's other guys that we can pull as resources, your managers and things like that. So I'm not the only guy, but yes, I'm there for everyone. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'd say, here's another thing, guys, the Slack tool is one of the most powerful tools that we have. Okay. Because a lot of times I may not know somebody's phone number, right? But I know that they're a swinger because I see a swinger. I know that they're a baller, a big swinger, whatever you want to call it. I know that they're rolling large because I can see them booming on the Slack thread, right? Like, dang, this guy writes a lot of premium.
Chad,
Well, you can actually you can actually click their name and direct message that person. It's just like a text message. So everybody, even when, because the default setting on Slack is the notifications are not on for everything. Okay. So the first thing I recommend you do is turn your Slack notifications on for everything. Okay. But even if you don't do that, because some people just won't do that, they always get their direct message notifications. So sending somebody a direct message on Slack, just a one-to-one message, it's just as good as sending a text message. Okay. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times you don't know who to reach out to. You're like, hey man, I'd love to reach out to Eric, but I just don't know his number. It's just in Slack. Just hit it and send me a direct message. It'll pop up on my phone like a text message. Okay. So I would say the people that are the most knowledgeable about product. So if you're in somebody's house and you're like, dude, I need some help with product right now, right? Those people would be Dave, Chad, myself, Chris Schiavo, Sean Linder. You're pretty knowledgeable about product. And Sean's going to get more and more knowledgeable, but like he's been selling life insurance for what, 5-6 years. He's very knowledgeable about product. Who else would you say? Jamie's very knowledgeable about product.
Very much, yeah.
Who else can you think of? Is Ben, definitely.
Yeah.
And Ken, awesome. Kenneth George, awesome. And Brandon Green also, except not so much our products yet, but he's been in the insurance business for 11 years. So like a lot of times, if I get stuck with an objection or something I can't figure out, a lot of times, like I'll call Brandon and pretend he's my manager. So he's a great one. So, another one, Brent, Craig, Brent and Rhonda, either one of them, they run all their appointments together mostly. Like they've got now, I mean, and that's what's crazy, Dave. Like, I mean, these are people that literally didn't know anything about insurance 2 months ago, but what a difference 8 weeks makes when you're, running appointments. Like they're probably more knowledgeable about the product than a bunch of people. So hopefully that gives you guys a good, way to spread it around. If for whatever reason you can't get Dave on the phone, just text one of the rest of us, of people on that list. So
as we're sitting here, I got 3 phone calls while you're talking.
Okay.
But go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah.
And that's okay because people are out running. Anyway. So, hey, what questions anybody have? Right off let's just go there first. And while you're thinking for that, Chad, I don't know how you agree with this, but in FFL USA and some of the VP calls and things that I'm on and stuff, one of the things I hear a lot of the guys do, and I've been trying to get our team to do it, so I would start here, is I would run Americo every single time if you can. Now, obviously, if the person's got cancer right now, you can't probably do that. But I think sometimes we overthink with medicines. And I went back to my very beginning, right? I wrote 26,000. I just took my number up. I wrote 26,000 in Americo last month, and I only changed one thing. And I just started leading with it every single time. And so my numbers went up, which they pay me a lot more. So, and they're so much easier and it goes so much quicker. I can go through all the reasons why America is the best, but that's just me. And Chad, you probably agree with that, right? Right. So the thing about it is it takes literally less than a 2 or 3 minute time frame to see if the medicines that they're, because they can tell you they're on this medicine or that medicine, but it may not show up on there and they may go through. And there was things I probably should have ran. I had several last month that I didn't think necessarily would go through, and they did, right? So don't overthink it. Don't overlook at charts and stuff like that. I got to looking like I was this expert and looking at all those charts, and I just ran that. And then I would ask questions. That's how I did in the beginning, and I got away from that. In the last month I did. So if you'll start with Americo and then go to say Prosperity, which should be the second in my mind, Mutual Home All's there, Prosperity, those kind of things. That's how I would start every single time, unless you just know for a fact they're not going to qualify, which I don't know how you would know that personally, unless they had cancer or something. They had, let's see, what else would it be? Congestive heart failure or something like that. You're just not going to overcome. But at the end of the day, unless they answer yes to one of those questions, you don't know what the MIB is going to say. You just don't. Does that make sense?
Chad, what would you say to that, man? I mean, you've written what, $700,000, $800,000 worth of lifetime premium, since you've been here?
Yep.
Is that about right? You got to unmute yourself. But what do you say there?
Yeah.
Whoa.
There you go.
No.
I was in America.
Hold on, dude. I had to mute you, buddy. It looks like you're on here twice.
Hey, Eric, while you're trying to get that question answered from him,
Yeah.
and it does echo that way if you have two devices connected.
Yeah.
Is there any way to record these where we can
This
post
is being
them?
recorded. Yeah, this is being recorded.
So are you going to be posting it to where we can, those folks that can't be on now can?
Sure, I'll do that.
view it?
Yep.
Great.
I'll put a section on the website for it.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for Chad to come back, you're welcome, Gene. While we're waiting for Chad to come back, one of the questions that that came in on my chat box, one of them was from Brandon, who says he has no problem abusing me. That's great.
Yeah, there you go, buddy.
Yeah, but another one was from Robert Moffat. So hey, Robert, I see you on your porch there. His question was, how do you get over the fear of success once you've been there and getting back, besides dusting yourself off, he says. So I don't know, Robert, maybe you can clarify what you're dealing with, like specific.
Yeah, do that. I can answer that question though.
There you
Yes,
go,
am
Robert.
I unmuted now? Can you guys hear me?
Yep, go
All right,
for it.
perfect. It's one of the things that I put in the Slack. You know, I've been number one in sales in cars, mortgages, subscriptions, freaking neat. And one of the things that I came up with that I found myself struggling with is getting back to that point. When you've been on an accelerated path on a ladder where you're busting 20, 30 grand a month, which I've experienced, and then having your decisions kind of bring you back down to humility, and then it's not about greed, it's more about service. How is it that you can, what's the thing I'm looking for, to activate that internal core that, boom, you're again number one? Because I mean, it's an edge, it's a hunger. It's one of the things that I did have, I still do have, but I'm just too comfortable in my life and wanting to do this and wanting to serve and wanting to serve and do great things, and then make 100 grand a month. I don't know if it parlays into wealth consciousness that I've reversed myself, internally in my own perception, but I'm looking to get back, because I mean, you have millionaires who have made it, gone bankrupt, and then all of a sudden they're coming back. That right, that ignition, that spark, that just that tells yourself when you wake up, get the hell out of bed. You have things to do. You have people to serve. You deserve all the abundance. I'm looking to get that back.
Yeah, I hear you. Dave, what's your answer, man?
Well, I think we've all been defeated and been down, but I would go back to one thing and say this: uncomfortable. You hit it. I think you got to get uncomfortable again. You say you're comfortable, you got to get uncomfortable, right? So whatever that looks like for you, because if you're comfortable, that's where you're going to stay. So if you're happy where you're at, that's fine. but if not, you got to get uncomfortable. So uncomfortable is picking up the phone again and start dialing a bunch of people. Uncomfortable is buying a bunch of leads and not knowing that you're going to have the success that I know you're going to have if you go work your tail off. So you got to work your tail off, right? It was uncomfortable for me after many years to start here and not know the heck of what I was doing. And pick
That's
up
where it is. It's
leads.
a perfectionism thing.
I never
it's
bought
the perfectionism
leads.
thing I have in me.
I never.
Sorry
bought
to interrupt.
Leads. No, it's okay. But I never bought leads before. They told me to buy leads, so I bought the leads, and they told me to dial. I dialed, and then I went and got uncomfortable and saw people doing it that way. So it was uncomfortable for me. I was an agency owner in another company. I probably could have figured it out and stayed there and just kind of, whatever. But I wanted way more than that for my family and for everybody else. But going back to why I did it is I wanted it for my people and the people I was bringing into the business to be successful as well. And I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And that's my goal. That's my passion, right? So now I get to do all that. And so get uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for some people to pick up the phone and start dialing when they don't know what to say. but the more you do it, the better you're going to become. It's uncomfortable for somebody going home and don't know where to go on an app, like we're going to talk about today, until you do it. The easiest way to do it is just go freaking do it, right? I didn't know. I have Andrew, guys. Look, I'm not making excuses, but I had Andrew. That's it. Andrew's busier than you know what. If you've ever tried to call him, you would know. So I'm in the field. Who am I going to call? Andrew. And I text him a few times, but I had to figure a lot of stuff out on my own. And that's the best way to learn, is just go out there and screw up, right? You can't really mess it up. The apps are pretty simple. You put stuff in and it doesn't let you go forward. You can't hit submit if it doesn't work. It's that simple. They tell you whether they're approved or not. So anyway,
the other thing,
that's about
the other thing I would offer to you, Robert,
you.
and this is to everybody, including myself, is that a lot of times we buy into this idea that we're in a narrative in our journey on our movie, you know, and it's like, in the past I was up here and now I'm down here, and how do I get back there? And I've been there, and all of that is like a complete illusion. It's like,
Agreed.
It is. If you flip a coin in the air 10 times and it comes up heads every time, what's the odds that it comes up heads on the 11th time?
No one knows.
It's still 50-50. It's still 50-50. The past is no indication of what's going to happen. It's still 50-50. That's the odds, right? It's just, I'm in a streak right now, but I'm not in a streak. That what's next is this coin flip, right? And so if you can let go of this idea that there's somewhere to get back to, because there's nowhere to get back to. That's not a place, right? So what's in front of you is you're welcome. And what's in front of you is what's in front of you. And so just what you do is you just have to reset and just let go of everything that's behind you, because it's not real. It's over. And so what's next is what's next. So determine what it is that you want, and then what I love about this business is, man, in our old business, Dave, I mean, we had to come up with a prospecting plan, a business development plan, you know, put activity into trying to discover people that would be interested in what we have, and then present these ideas to people that didn't even know what we were talking about, and then try to convince them to take act. We don't have to do any of that. We just have to buy leads and then pick up the phone, call them, and try to go help them. That's it. I mean, it's literally the easiest thing in the world, simplest thing in the world. And a lot of times what gets between us and the results that we want is just this narrative that we are telling ourselves that's not even real. So
100%. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It very much does.
Yeah. Brandon actually chimed in on the chat thread. He said, Robert, pick up a copy or read it again if you haven't. The Magic of Thinking Success by David Schwartz. The Magic of Thinking.
Magic of Thinking Big.
Magic of Thinking Big. Yeah.
Thinking Success is a different book. It's about half the size, and it addresses another fear of success. But Magic of Thinking Big is great. I read it every year. Same
Nice.
author.
I have a question, Eric.
Yeah.
So mine's on leads. So even though I've been doing this a little bit, you know, I guess I don't have a lot of experience with leads. So what would be a good strategy? You know, let's just say, you know, starting back out, you know, I'm going to get leads. You know, what would you say, like, minimum amount? You know, I know, like, with game time, I've used that a couple of times. What would you say, like, a minimum of, you know, 1,000, a minimum of, you know, that kind of thing? Or are there any other vendors that have been added that I don't know about? Like, what would you just tell somebody that's, you know, starting out with leads? What would be the best strategy, you think?
Well, I can just tell you what I did, right?
Okay.
And it might be different for other people, but final expense, I used Gurus in the beginning, Facebook Gurus, and then I did Game Time and Happy Agent Leads. There's really only 3 I did. And then I added EverQuote to that, which if you have a question about that, I can tell you about that. But basically I had that coming in also. So I think you got to have 40 to 60 fresh leads every dial day. That's just my opinion. However you get those is up to you, right? So maybe you do a combination of like a Game Time, a Guru, whatever, pull some off the CRM, have EverQuote coming in. But I think if you have somewhere between 40 and 60 fresh ones, I always felt comfortable with that. I don't know that I always got through all of them. I think 30 would probably be the number of minimum. Wouldn't you say, Chad? I think if you have 30 fresh ones and you have some others to call, you can probably make a good dial day. I just found myself, I forgot who was on the call the other day. I'm one of those guys where I buy a bunch of leads and never go back and You guys could probably get half if you worked up here. I'd give them to Robbie all the time. I just dial them one time and that's it, and move on. Because I'm not afraid to spend the money because I know it'll make me a whole bunch of money. See, once you get to that point, it just rolls. Does that help you?
Yeah, so that's, I was wondering because, without, I'm not in the spot to spend like $2,000 a week right now. Like I'm trying to get started with the leads. So it's like, if I spend say 1,000, I probably wouldn't get 60 fresh leads, but, say get, at least 30 and then maybe mix in some B leads, or I don't know anything about EverQuote. I did Gurus one time and I didn't really like them just because they gave me a handful of leads from like other states, and people that were like, no, I've never been to Texas my whole life. They have numbers there, addresses there, and they wouldn't swap them out, and game time seemed better for me.
Linder, I can tell you, pardon me, is go into the CRM.
Yeah.
Do you have access to that?
Get the new agent.
I believe so.
You believe? Go into the CRM and go purchase leads. There's a lead, kind of looks like a little dude, like a man, like a little avatar guy, and you click it and it says purchase leads, and then it'll pull up a map. You want to pick the cherry pick leads, the very top one, and there's 3 cherry pick options, but just pick the top one, and it'll pull up a map of the United States, and you click on Texas, your state, and then you click on your county, and it'll show you in real time, like these are the leads that are available that are like what I call second chance leads, B leads, if you want to call them that. But they're not B leads, like they're B leads pricing, but they're not really B leads. Like they have brand new, they just uploaded 150,000, what they call new internet life leads. And what these are is these are people that are online somewhere and they're looking for life insurance. And they sell them to us, they're brand new. They sell them to us for like $750 a pop. And you get all this access to everything. You got their name, their birthday, their email address, their address, their phone number. And then what kind of, are they a smoker or not a smoker, DUI, how much face amount they're looking for. I mean, it's a ton of information for $7. And those are like my favorite leads to buy. So like when it's time to buy leads, the first thing I do is go into the CRM and I try to clear out all the new life leads in my area. And then if there's even life leads that are 3-month or 6-month, I'll take those too, because a lot of times people like think about the psychology of somebody fills out a life form online and then they get blown up by 4 or 5 different agents because they filled out 4 or 5 different forms, right? So the best time to call a lead is like right when they fill out the form, when they're being called by me, and maybe they filled out a form over here, so now somebody else has their name too, and they just get to the place where they're like, I'm not going to even answer my phone, right? But here it is like 3 months later, and now everybody's forgotten about them. And then I buy the 3-month-old lead and call them, and they're like, oh yeah. And they answer their phone. They're like, oh yeah, I never got that taken care of. Perfect. And that lead cost me $3, right? So I love to knocker, so. And you can door knock them. So yeah, you're comfortable with that. So for you, and this doesn't apply to necessarily everybody, but I know you and I know your background, dude, go into the CRM and buy all the old stuff you can, because you can spend $200 and probably get, 80, 90 leads out of there, where you're located. And then if it's not enough, then buy the rest of them new, and spend a little bit more money to make sure that you've got, like Dave says, 40 to 60 leads to call on. But that's the way I would do it.
So if you are spending, say, $1,000, should be enough to get me going.
Yeah.
Say probably do at least 30, maybe like game time leads. I don't know much about EverQuote. I don't know much about the CRM system, honestly. But so at least 30 fresh leads, and then buy a crap ton of those as well.
Yep.
Hey, Chad, have you used EverQuote?
Yes, I have used EverQuote. I use them as a filter of my other leads.
Yeah. So guys, if you want EverQuote, here's how it works. I can connect me. So the guy, what happens is if you go to, I can send you the guy, and they may do it for everybody, but the way we set it up was if you buy, so you give them $500, okay? They'll give you $500 in an account, okay? And they'll give us an additional $250. When I say us, they give it to me, but I tell them to give you 125 of it. That's how it works, right? That's what they do. because we refer you basically. And that's how I set it up originally when I started. I don't know if other groups do that. It's just how this guy worked with me, and maybe does it other places, but I just give the money back to you guys. So the way it works is it's about $8 and something a lead, and it just keeps coming in. So you just turn them on your dial days. Okay. So Sean, this would be good for you too. It's $500. And then you could buy some of what Eric's talking about. And then if you have a little bit left over, get some fresh weeds. The thing about it is a reason why it's worked for me. I've made some really good sales on there. It's just, it's a simple call. They're basically going on Google and typing in insurance, right? So they're looking for insurance, life insurance. And you'll get some really good ones in there. You just got to go through the numbers. You can't overthink it. Okay. But you remember, you're going to get 120 some leads, I think, for $500. It's a pretty good deal. Okay. The thing it does also, if you get out of rhythm, maybe you go to the bathroom or come back, you'll get an email and you want to call them right away. So it keeps you in rhythm. That's what Chad was talking about, filtering in. Robbie has killed EverQuote, slayed it. Like, he wrote almost 30K or whatever last month. And he primarily does EverQuote, and he buys 30 game time here, 30 game time there, whatever. And he uses EverQuote all the time. So I know it works.
Okay, so you're recommending 500 on EverQuote, 30 fresh leads, let's say game time, and then maybe $100, whatever's left out, 1,000 on the B lead.
Yeah, you could, and you could start with Eric's suggestion, go with the 30, and then see what you get on the CRM. And then when you make $500 additional, then get EverQuote. Okay. Because here's the thing, EverQuote ends up being about, in my mind, it's going to last you a month or so, a couple months probably, unless you use it as your primary. Wouldn't you say, Chad? That's what it works for me. Dude, I still have it. I turn it off all the time because I'm not calling them all. So I just turn it off, because you can turn it off and on your dial days.
Correct. Yeah. There was one thing.
It's immediate. Sorry.
There's just one thing that I noticed on one of Andrew's videos too is, the hardest thing sometimes is putting that money in for leads, but as you get into it, getting really uncomfortable, like we talked about, and getting on a reoccurring order. Because if you get on a reoccurring order, some people, they'll make a good chunk of money, 1 week, and then the next week they'll kind of let off the brakes. But getting on that consistent lead order where, every week, leads are coming in, you kind of have no choice but to keep going at it. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's powerful too. And lead bank's another one. If you can get it in your area, that's a good one to get, because you just pay per lead. You can also pause it if you have to. That's a good one. If it's in your area, you can check Lead Bank Direct. So hopefully that helps you, Sean.
Okay.
Hey Dave, what would you say to somebody who Robert had just chimed in here saying that he had canceled as EverQuote because there were so many bad reviews from agents, and you're having such a good experience. What do you think is the difference?
There's probably the same agents that complain about every other lead source too. They're just not looking at it what it is. I mean, that's the bottom line.
What would you say? No, but a serious question, what would you say is the difference between effectively calling a lead like an EverQuote lead and ineffectively calling it? What's the difference?
I think you treat it the same as the others. It's just a different phone call. It's a little bit different because you're looking at a different form. It's not you don't have a hobby or something like that to call, right? So I just get in the rhythm, of making phone calls. So when it comes through, I look at it, I say, hey, this is Dave calling from benefits center right here in Roanoke. You just filled out this form. I assume you're probably looking for some type of, I'm straightforward with those because a lot of times it is life insurance. You can tell, because if they answer the phone with EverQuote, they're pretty, pretty quick. You'll see what I'm talking about. But when you find them engaged, you can get them all day long. You can book an appointment and they're ready to go, because some of them are exclusive and some of them aren't. It'll tell you on there. If they're exclusive, you can get them pretty quick.
And I want to offer this to you. And I heard this being said at the meet. I was at the meeting in Dallas, the Family First meeting, and one of the guys got up and said this, and it's just stuck with me. And that is, look, man, these EverQuote, for example, they're a publicly traded company. They're generating millions of leads, and they wouldn't be able to do that if they didn't have agents buying them over and over and over and over again. So they definitely work. It's just a matter of, can you work them? And I think that's one of the hardest things in this business is is taking responsibility for when things aren't working out. You know, I remember when I first started recruiting, for example, it was like, oh man, there aren't any good agents out there because every agent I recruit, they quit on me. And it's like, well, no, I mean, you just suck as a manager. You know, I mean, I just didn't know how to train people. I didn't know how to like coach people. I didn't know how to talk to people. Just, you know, I was great at selling insurance, but I wasn't great at developing people. That's okay. Just take responsibility. Hey, listen, the responsibility is right here, 100% on me. So if there are other people out there that can do it, then I just need to take responsibility for the fact that, hey, right now, like to Robert's point, I'm not great at it, and that's okay. So who can I go out and ask for help so that I can get better at it, rather than saying, oh, building a team doesn't work, when there are people that are multi-billionaires from building sales teams, right? Obviously it works, right? I just don't know how to do it yet. That's all. And so I think that's a key thing.
Hey, Eric, you know, that's such a great point, right? And
Yeah.
back to your quarter example of flipping it, the probability is still 50-50, right? And when you're calling these leads, you got to remember, yeah, sure, I'll go in. Sometimes the leads are better than others, but sometimes the 6 inches between your ears is better than others, right? So you really have to be accountable to your headspace.
Right.
And not only that, instead of flipping a quarter where it really is 50-50 probability over time, in this business, you have the ability to bend the probability curve. You can get better. You can call Dave and carve out 10 minutes, go, dude, listen to what I'm saying to people, and have him say, change these 3 things. You can go online and watch videos. There's all kinds of stuff we can do to improve our odds, in addition to just actually making the calls with good intent.
Yep.
It's good stuff, man.
Great
Hey,
stuff.
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, this is Gene.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Gene.
one of the things that, of course, this part of the business is new to me, and I have a team member on, and I'm glad you're going to record it so I can give it to my other team members. One of the things that I have found that works for me when helping team members as to when they're starting to flail and getting, you know, the 6 inches between their head not working correctly, is having them to record themselves when they're making their calls or their presentations or whatever, because we're not sitting next to them in the home. We're not field training them. And so one of the best ways is for them to record themselves and then send me the recording, or send the recording to somebody like you or Dave or whatever that's been doing this for a while. Then that's when you can offer, in my opinion, the real help, because you can hear the words that they're saying. And sometimes I have found it just takes a little bit of a tweak to make a difference faster, and catching those issues early. I had somebody that followed me one day, and I found that in 3 of my demos, I was saying a phrase that I don't even know where it came from. I'd never said it before. Just that particular day, it was coming out. Maybe I never noticed it before, but once he brought it to my attention, I quit saying that. We had gone on 6 demos that day. The 7th demo, I changed my verbiage, and I wrote business. And so I think that if people are having issues, the quicker that they can get a response to what they're doing is by just, like I said, recording it, sending it out, and let somebody listen to it.
I agree 100%, man. That's really good advice, Gene. Dave, what were you going to say?
No, that's good. Good advice. So what I was going to say, just make sure your dial trackers, your calendars, there's some basic tools you guys can use. So going back to EverQuote and the numbers, and Chad, I hope you agree with this. Andrew always talks about making 250 calls a week. He talks about, I believe he's running 24, some weird number like that, appointments a week, whatever it is, it is. So I think that's the mindset going into a dial day for me, is I have an X amount of appointments I want to book for Tuesday and Wednesday, right? And I know there's a set amount of calls. I don't think about anything else. I start at 7:30 dialing the crap out of these things, and once my calendar's full, it's full. That's it. So I don't overthink what lead I'm calling, who I'm calling, whatever. Now, I do a lot of mortgage protection now. I do. But when I had final expense, that's all I did. I did that. I had EverQuote coming in, and it didn't matter. When they came in, I called them. That's it. So don't overthink it. Just dial the phone with, I say enthusiasm until you get them on the phone. You got to change your voice. We teach how to do that, because you don't want to talk like this when you're on the phone like a sales guy. And if you're not on the Zoom calls, you would know that. That's how I learned, because this is how I normally talk, and I'm real salesy. But when I call them, it's, hi, this is Dave. I'm calling from the Mortgage Protection Center, or I'm calling from the senior benefits center here in Roanoke, and I'm toning my voice down. So I am a field underwriter. My job is really simple, is to make sure that I meet with you, make sure you're not strapped to a hospital bed somewhere, verify your identity, and you just keep going back to that. So if they try to put you off, it's just, again, my job is real simple, ma'am. I'm the field underwriter, right? Just to get you this information. So anyway, that's just, I'm not going to get all that, but if you get on the Zoom call, guys, this is a simple business. And I'm going to tell you real quick. It's real simple. Buy leads and dial. I know that sounds simple. Be on the Zoom dials until you learn how to do it. And listen, if Chad's on there and you hear him on the phone and he's got his mic open, you're dialing, but you hear him interacting with somebody. Listen, if you're on there, Jenna, I get on a call with Dominic's group, and I hear Jenna and I hear Troy, Hall of Fame guys, and Easton and all these guys. That's where I got the strap to the bed thing. Was Easton. He's freaking. I'm old enough to be his dad, but I use it all the time, and people laugh about it. It sounds crazy, but it works. And so that's where I learned it. You can hear people, but get on the Zooms and dial with people, get on all these things and get your people on. If they're not on, they're not going to grow. Right. And Gene, I appreciate the fact you want to record, because there are people running today, and I get that, and they're working, but otherwise they should be on the calls, so that would be it. If you get on the calls, you dial, you buy leads, and I think we overcomplicate this business. It's not that hard. You just got to go to work. Going back to Mr. Moffitt earlier, Robert, that's it. You hear the slogan, just do it. That's freaking it. Just do it. Get up and do something. And all you got to do is get some leads in front of you, start dialing the phone and get better at it. And then go see people. That's it.
One thing I'll just chime in here, because I was talking to somebody a couple days ago, and it's Newton's law, right? It's the law of physics, action, reaction, right? Like unless you take action, there is nothing that happens. And there's a lot of people that we work with on our team that are spending a lot of time getting ready to take action, but not actually taking action.
Oh.
And, my daughter
We've been
is
doing $1
3.
million a month.
Right. And my daughter's 3. Right. So I use her as an example a lot, but like when it's time to put my 3-year-old to bed, it is amazing how many things she will come up with that have to be done before she can go to bed. She's got to brush her teeth. She needs a little bit more juice. She needs me to run and get the little pink, owl that she sleeps with. And, oh, daddy, no, go back down and get the blue one. And all these different things. And finally, you just got to say, dude, enough. Time for bed. Right. And I think that's the way it is with our agents. A lot of times it's like, oh, well, I know I need to dial these leads, but first let me review my scripts, and then let me get on here and watch some more YouTube videos. And then there's something wrong with my headspace, and I need to talk to a guru and dude, you just need to pick up the phone and dial it. Right. Mm-hmm. Dial the phone, screw up over and over and over again. And it doesn't take, 4 or 5 screw up calls. And then all of a sudden you'll feel like you're in the zone. It's like, oh, okay, this is just a person. They're just like me. They need help. I don't. Let me help them. And that's it. And it's, but you never get to that point if, you make a dial and it goes into voicemail, and then you get up and go refill your coffee and then take a, whatever. I mean, and then come back to make your second call 2 hours later. You're just never going to get where you need to get mentally to actually be effective. So,
yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it's just action, just taking action. Massive action, and the more action you take with a good attitude, the better you're going to be. You've heard it a million times, and it's just a fact. And this business, guys, is unlike anything I've ever done in my life. And I've done a lot of things, and been blessed to do well at most of them. This one is set up for someone who's willing to work freaking hard, be teachable, be coachable. That's it. If you're teachable, you coachable, you jump into everything, and you freaking work your tail off, you're going to make a whole lot of money here. But if you question everything, question your abilities, all those things, don't do that. Just go do it. I mean, it blows me away, really. I mean, how I don't say easy, because it's relative,
simple,
right?
Simple.
It's simple. It's very simple. Simple business. Don't overthink it.
Guys, we've been on here for 40 minutes. Are any last anything any stone we didn't turn over? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna assume that.
Say this one more thing. Start with America. Trust me on that one. Prosperity too. I used to do Mutual Omaha. I think Prosperity is a good one, but I think Musical Home Hall, you could do second with that, but Prosperity right after that, because it has 3 levels. I mean, that's what a lot of the teams are doing right now. And then if you have to, go on to AIG or some of the others, then you do it. Now, we have Aetna coming, guys. I just got I got the contract, which means everyone else can get it. So we just put it in today. That's going to be a game changer, I can tell you. So you're probably going to go Americo and Aetna. I don't know what that's going to look like, but that's probably going to be your top 2. And I just don't, it's going to be pretty simple. I love that part. So, and guys, we're just plug in and follow these guys. I'm looking at what Chad's done in his first 3 years. He's just getting started. There's a lot of great people in our group. Eric's done amazing things in just a very short period of time in recruiting, teaching, and training. He's inundated with all the information and learning. And I've just simply whatever Andrew tells me to do, I do it. That's it. If he doesn't tell me to do it, I don't do it. I don't try to buy some lead that somebody tells me is going to work. I don't try to go do this Facebook thing. I ask everything, Andrew. Seriously. I was going to go see Eric and come down there and see you guys, which I will do. But one of the decisions I made a decision to stay here this past weekend. You guys don't know all this, but when I told Andrew, he said that was the right decision. And I found myself, I didn't even ask him that because I told him what I was doing. He thought that was a good decision. My point is, we're not going to direct you wrong. And if it's coming from me or coming from Eric, it's coming from Andrew. That's where we learn. We don't ask other people. Or I'm asking a Grady who's got $1.3 million business who's doing what we want to do. And guys like that. And Sean. So if we give you something, it's coming from those kind of guys. Just trust that.
All right, guys. Should we do this again next week? What do you think, Dave?
I think it's fantastic. Now, I don't know if this time is the right spot.
Yeah.
Because we are on a run day. I think maybe we have our others. So we either do it, I think, on Monday or Thursday. Maybe do it on Thursday after the other call or before, maybe after. Dude, we had 20-some people on here, which is fantastic.
I agree. We have it maybe on Tuesday and Thursday. Since we're all new right now, we can all need help.
Yeah, I think Thursday's a good option. We can even, we can even do another one Thursday after that call, Eric, if we need to.
Okay.
And then kind of go from there.
All right, sounds good, guys. Go crush it the rest of the day.
Yep. Thanks for being on, guys. This is awesome.